advising the Tatas as to finding an ultimate bidder, the right one, and the one which is best suited. So how important do you think a turnaround plan is? Because these are loss-making units, and the Tatas also are incurring several pounds of losses on a daily basis as the entire deadline increases and the clock ticks.
That's correct, although that loss has been reduced significantly in the last few weeks and months, down by 2/3 from what it was certainly in February and March. That's hugely welcome, but it's still a loss, we understand that. There's much to do to improve the viability of steelmaking in the UK. Our energy prices are too high. We've said that to the UK government. They need to be dealt with. And of course, we need to make sure that we have fair tariffs in place at European level against imports that compete unfairly with what our own workers produce. With that in mind, we have a steel industry that's modern, it's been invested in, it's far from antiquated, and above all else, a fantastic workforce.
Minister, one aspect which I'm very curious about is the fact that the entire reason why there's been turmoil in the steel industry in the UK partly can be attributed to the dumping of imports by Chinese companies. Now, we understand from reports in the UK press that there could be a Chinese suitor as one of the potential bidders. Is that a strict no-no as far as the deal is concerned? Would that even be considered on the table?
What's important is that there's a company that comes forward and delivers a sustainable future for steel. That commitment is absolutely essential for us, regardless of who that business might be. Now, it's right to say that whilst other countries have increased their tariffs against cheap imports, the EU hasn't done the same. The UK government didn't support that at the time. That does need to be dealt with in order to create a level playing field for all of us.
Minister, when you had spoken earlier, you had told me that perhaps the ideal solution lies in a partnership between bidders, the government of UK, as well as the workers. Do you stand by that today as well?
That's one option. What is absolutely clear is there will need to be assistance on the table, both from the Welsh Government and the UK Government. We understand that. The pensions issue is a significant issue. We've already put a package on the table. The UK Government has offered to do the same. So, yeah, we do understand that there will need to be an attractive package in order to help the industry through its current difficulties and in order to secure its future. And working with a suitable bidder, that's exactly what we want to see.
Would it be safe to assume that a deal of such magnitude would not go through if the UK government does not intervene when it comes to the pension liabilities, because every bidder would be keen to get some support from the UK government in that aspect?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't think anybody will come forward whilst the pension liability is there. But that's understood. We understand that. The UK government understands that. And I know they are looking at ways to ensure that that liability is dealt with. But certainly from our point of view, we want to make sure that that is dealt with without it being to the detriment of existing pensioners and the existing workforce.
Absolutely. Are you open to the idea of a partnership? For example, we've heard of suitors like Liberty and Excalibur Steel perhaps joining and making a joint bid. Are you open to that partnership, or do you think for a deal of this kind, individual bids are best suited?
The strongest bids, that's what we want to see. I've read in the media about Liberty and Excalibur talking to each other. It's up to them how they put their bids in, whether separately or in another way. But for me, what's hugely important is that we have a strong set of bidders who are all viable, who all see a future for steel making and will invest in the Welsh economy.
And also well funded, because that would be an important aspect.
Yeah, I mean, there's a need for capital investment of some £300 to £400 million, I suspect, to get the steelmaking end in one of the steelworks to where it needs to be. Tata have put in investment over many years, that much is true, but to get it to where it wants to be or needs to be, then that would be needed. So yeah, it's right to say there would need to be capital investment in order to secure the future.
Minister, if I can push my luck and request you to stick your neck out, what do you think would be ideally suited? A bid from a strategic investor like Liberty Group, or a bid from a management buyout point of view like what has been reported in terms of the bid led by Stuart Wilkie? What makes you more comfortable?
Well, I want a bid that's got the expertise, that's got the capital behind it, that's got the ability to work with different levels of government, and above all else has the ability to secure the future of the steel industry in the long term. It's important that the successful bidder is in that position, because for me the objective is to make sure that our steel industry continues. It's a modern industry and we can't hope to be a modern economy without steel.
Is there a possibility, perhaps a remote possibility if at all, that the government could advise the Tata Group to not rush into the entire deal process and hold on to their assets for a while if a suitable bidder is not found?
Well, I made that point to the UK government. I think Tata understand that, in fairness to them, and they've said that they're not going to rush. Yes, they are losing money. They make that point. I understand that. But they do know that they need to conduct a thorough assessment of all the bids, and that's what they've said. That's what I expect them to do. And for a company with the reputation that Tata has, I think that helps to enhance that reputation.
My final question, Minister, is there a deadline that has been kept in mind as part of this entire deal process? Because with every passing day, there's obviously angst amongst the workers. They are curious and they're also anxious to know who will come on board. Tatas are also losing money on a daily basis. So is there a tentative deadline that the government has kept in mind, informally maybe, as part of the Tata Group's discussions with you?
No, there's no date. And we understand, of course, that the Tata would want to conclude matters quickly but properly, and we understand that bidders would want to know where they stand again in a reasonable amount of time. But from our perspective, what's important is securing that long term. There is great uncertainty amongst our workers, there's no question about that, and that doesn't help in terms of morale, it doesn't help our economy. But what I'm aiming for is a situation where we have a long-term future. If that takes a little time to do, then better that than to rush things and find that the future isn't bright. I want to make sure that the workers that we have continue to have jobs.
I'll slip in one last question, Minister. What was the main message from your team to the Tata Group today when you met them?
That we will continue to work with them in a positive and constructive way, and they've responded positively to that, and we'll continue to look at ways in which we can secure the best outcome for our workers.
All right. Thank you so much, Minister, for taking out time and speaking exclusively to ET Now. So there you have it. Carwyn Jones, the First Minister of Wales, speaking to us on the entire bidding process. Very optimistic, and clearly they're open to supporting any bidder with the right kind of financial strength, right kind of financial muscle, and also the right kind of technical expertise. But keep in mind, the government wants to ensure that the interest of the workers' union is paramount. Let's wait and watch to see how this tale pans out in the days to come.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.